Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to all my friends here today. As with others of our messages, mine is going to be one of gratitude as well. And I'm going to start off with some of the memories that you and I get to do, some of the special things that representatives get to do while we're here. Candy and I attended the commissioning of the USS Detroit here just a couple months ago. Very interesting stuff. We have toured the Michigan Central Rail Station in Detroit, the old Gothic building. What a wonderful place. Visiting the governor's mansion on Mackinac Island and having drinks on his porch at his expense. Attending the presidential debate last March. I think it was last March, whenever it was. Shooting on the Jackson County Sheriff's Department firearms range. Breaking in some automatic weapons. That was extra cool. I've gone on several prison and mental health facility tours. Done the dome tour with Matt of the tour office. If you have not done that, representatives, you should do it. I'm scared to death of heights, but managed to get through it. Visiting Bay City with my boat, Charlie Brunner's area. Charlie was kind enough to get us tickets to tall ships last summer, and he delivered them to the boat. And by the time he finished delivering those tickets, I was almost completely out of limes. Thanks, Charlie. Appreciate it very much. Singing in the Rotunda and in caucus, and with my friend Mike Shirkey in various places around our district, including his church and mine. The many visits to the Capitol by our school groups, and the various business tours. I recall going to Walkerville in Canada. I think it was with Eric Nesbitt and Jim Ananick. Power plant tours, distribution centers, and those local businesses that depend upon us to provide a structure in our state where they can hire people, make a profit, and keep it. I'm gratified to be able to take humble pride in our achievements over 6 years. We repealed a poorly conceived business tax and replaced it with a corporate income tax that aligns the interest of the state with that of business. When business profits, so does our state. Our budgeting process is now disciplined, predictable, and timely. We take it for granted now that the budget is done on time. Detroit is such an important part of our state, and my family has long ties there. My grandmother practiced law there in the 30s and 40s. My grandfather taught 50,000 Detroit residents how to swim at the Detroit YMCA. My mother, who is here on the floor with me today, grew up on the Northwest Side. Our work to settle the Detroit bankruptcy quickly and with fiscal discipline is something I'm particularly proud of, and that will benefit both the city and our state for many years. We have reduced our taxpayers' exposures to unfunded liabilities. Friends, more work is necessary. Study the problem well and take it on in the next term. The fix will not be easy. There is no magic bullet. I'm proud of our work to make employment law around the state reliably consistent. My bill toward this end was dubbed the Death Star Bill. How incongruous to have an accountant compared to Darth Vader, but I love it anyway. Again, when we make the rules consistent and predictable, we make investment and hiring decisions easier to make. There are things I'm not so very proud of. One of them is silly resolutions. The public wonders what we're doing here when they hear about things like Talk Like a Pirate Day, Avast, Vote ye not for such as that, ye lubbers. Bills with poor policy are more problematic than silly resolutions. Like all of us, I voted to exempt 100% disabled veterans from property taxes on their principal residences. And yes, I realize that today is the 75th anniversary of the speech that named Pearl Harbor Day the Day of Infamy. But it is clear we did not understand the definition of a 100% disabled veteran or the scope of the exemptions we would be allowing. It was a bad move. My amateur politician's advice, if you're not sure what a bill does, don't vote for it. Another amateur opinion. Although I voted for them years ago, there must be a change to term limits in Michigan. They only serve to impair the power of the people in the form of their elected representatives. No one else, especially lobbyists and bureaucrats, has their hands tied in such a way. I will remember some iconic items from my years in the House. Ed McBroom's French horn and his cheese, okay, right? Margaret O'Brien's cookie jar, the piano and hymnals in the rotunda, Pat Somerville's M&M's jar over there. It looks like Halloween over there, Pat. Roger Victory's rutabagas, or whatever the heck he had in those boxes. Beets, oh yeah, beets, they're wonderful. The pencil that the clerks use to call for immediate effect. No one uses a pencil anymore for anything other than calling for immediate effect, just so we're clear on that, Mr. Clerk. Mike Calton's harmonicas, and especially his guitar, and Ken Yonker's glasses, and of course, his Rolodex. It's been said that if you want a friend in the Capitol, get a dog. Perhaps I'm naive, but I think that saying does not hold here in Lansing. I have made many wonderful and, I believe, lifelong friends here whose prime interest is in the success of our state and its residents. I won't hear a Frank Sinatra song in the future without remembering Chris Affendoulis. I recall in our first term when Tony Forlini and I were on the General Government Appropriations Subcommittee, and MEDC presented a new Pure Michigan ad that seemed calculated to reduce tough guys like us to blubbering fools as we saw our beautiful state and the now familiar tune. They calculated correctly. Every time Donald Trump speaks, every time Donald Trump speaks, I will think how well Kurt Heise imitates him. He's amazing. And speaking of imitations, there is no one who does Curly Howard better than Al Pashoka. Whenever I see a Three Stooges short, I will think fondly of him. He's been a brilliant appropriations chair, and I'm sure he did a better job than anyone else here would have done. When I have my septic tank pumped, I will think of the man who is the self-described number one in number two, Ken Goike. What a genuine guy. I love you, Ken. In Jackson County, I'll hope that future elected officials work as well together as Mike Shirkey and I have done, and as Brett Roberts and I do now. I appreciate my CPA colleagues, Tom McMillan, Martin Howrelak, Paul Clementi, and Chris Affendoulis, as well as the unwavering support of the professionals at the Michigan Association of CPAs. I will remember the hard work that Kevin Elsenheimer, Brian Calley, Jace Bolger, and others did to forge our majority and, more importantly, did the difficult work of reinventing Michigan in partnership with our friends in the Senate and in the governor's office. Each of us knows that our families are indispensable to us in getting and staying elected and in keeping what little sanity we possess while in office. Our family lived in the D.C. area during the 60s and 70s, and my dad was an FBI agent there. I would hear story after story about corrupt and or inept politicians, and politics was not something I even considered for many years. When I considered a run for the Jackson County Commission, I carefully suggested the possibility to my folks, wary of what their view might be of a politician within a family of law enforcement. They were enthusiastic and offered their approval and worked very hard in each of my elections, and I'm so thankful for them. I got into politics because I thought I could make a difference, and because we had two sons who had graduated from Michigan universities, neither of whom was working in this state in his chosen field of study. We also had no daughters-in-law, no grandchildren. Now we do have a daughter-in-law. Now we do have two beautiful grandkids, Isla and Isaac. I hope we continue to make Michigan a place where they can grow up and live and prosper. Our many friends in Jackson have been so gracious to Candy and me the entire time and expressed their thanks for our public service. That's been a little surprising because we often hear the bad things about politicians. The encouragement of my constituents has been so helpful. It's a source of wonder to come to know some of the 90,000 people in each of our House districts. I count myself lucky to have met a number of veterans, those who were at Pearl Harbor. One fellow who made the Bataan Death March, Fred Vinton. One fellow shot out of a B-17 over Germany, Lee Zimmerman, who slogged through the sands of Iwo Jima, Myron Chupko, who stood guard in Japan and who kept the Korean Peninsula from being overrun. Those who answered our country's call in Vietnam and in the Middle East. Those who have kept watch in the air, on land and sea, and those who watch even today, ever vigilant to defend our freedoms. I remember last Flag Day when Senator Shirkey and I attended a ceremony at the Cascades in Jackson being put on by the local Marine Corps League chapter. I saw a very senior veteran there, clearly from the World War II era, who was proudly wearing the dress blue uniform of a corporal of Marines. I remarked to the League commander how well the old fellow's uniform fit and its excellent condition after what I assumed were many years in the closet. The commander told me it wasn't his old uniform. It's a brand new uniform. And the old Marine intends to wear it when he is finally posted to guard the streets of heaven. What a privilege to meet him and his fellow servicemen and women. I appreciate the House staff, policy offices, the House Fiscal Agency, the clerk's office, the business office, and the sergeant's staff. They're top quality people, and it's a pleasure to get to know all of you. I've had excellent staff over my tenure in the House. My current staff, Maria Ostrander and Molly Kaufman, are selfless public servants and excellent citizens. They've made me look better than I deserve, and they solved problems even before I knew I had them. Common theme from some of these remarks. I know they will do very well in the future. My greatest thanks and appreciation must go to my wife, Candy. Our spouses must endure many of the difficulties that we must, and without much of the glory. At work at Consumers Energy, she got many questions about my positions. She carries a stack of my business cards and invites her coworkers to contact me directly. She's worked very hard for my success, and we've had great experiences together. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to address this body for perhaps my last time. It is only one of the many, many privileges that membership in the House grants us, and I'm personally grateful for my time serving here and for knowing everyone here. I wish God's blessing upon you, upon our country and the citizens of our magnificent state. I bid you not goodbye, but au revoir until our paths meet again. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Poleski.